Hello, how are you? Yes? Yes, fine. I am also fine. We are missing you a lot. In this another lecture of this bot 353, that is lecture number 2nd. Today we are going to learn about brief introduction about Gatt. In next few lecture we will learn about WTO, TRIPS and WIPO. Let us try to understand what is exactly meant by Gatt. Gatt is just agreement, that is general agreement on trade and tariff. This is just agreement, it is not any kind of organization just like that, or WHO, that is World Health Organization, or WTO, that is World Trade Organization. This is not any kind of organization. This is simply a agreement which was signed by the 23 countries. Just look at the history of this Gatt. After World War II, what had happened that due to financial crisis, due to recession, there was no any kind of faith on each other of different countries. So that's why foreign trade was totally collapsed, and it results into loss of unemployment, then recession. To overcome such problems, one conference was organized at Bretton Woods. That conference is known as Bretton Woods Conference in 1944. In this conference, several countries were participated, and this conference suggested to form three important organizations. That is IMF, means what? International Monetary Fund, World Bank, ITO, that is International Trade Organization. As already we are knowing about International Monetary Fund and World Bank, you might have heard that this road or this kind of any kind of activity of government of India, it is financed by the World Bank. The project is financed by World Bank. It comes under International Monetary Fund. Now, till date, these two organizations, that is International Monetary Fund and World Bank, they are working very genuinely. But third organization which was suggested by this Bretton Woods Conference, that was, it fails to establish. Why it fails to establish? Because American government, they've rejected. They were not interested to part of this International Trade Organization. That's why rest of the countries, they formally just sign an agreement, and that agreement is known as Gatt, that is General Agreement on Trade and Tariff. What was the objective of this Gatt? If you look towards this photograph, what this photograph suggests us that liberalization, employment, standard of living, improvement, all these are the objectives of the Gatt. As we know that Gatt was signed in 30th October 1947 in Geneva of the Switzerland by 23 countries, and it came into effect in 1st January 1948. What was the major objectives of this Gatt? To expand the international trade by liberalization so as to bring about all-round economic prosperity of entire world, to improve standard of living of the entire world, to ensure full employment and large steady growing of real income and effective demand, developing full use of resources of the world, and expansion of the production of the international trade. How this Gatt worked? As we know that from 1948 to 1994, that means almost for 50 years and a half a century, that Gatt was in existence. Due to this Gatt, if you look at these graphs, what this suggests us, that there was increase in the number of agreements, or it leads into the improvement in the trade. It leads into the growth into the international trade. But as there was growth into the trade, what happens that there may be the conflict to gain the more profit. As Gatt, it reduced tariff, or what in simple terms what we can say that taxes. Due to the reduction in the taxes, there was liberalization, and whole entire world was on one platform for doing the trade. As whenever problem arises into that participating countries, so to solve that disputes, one meeting was every time they used to organize. That meetings are called as rounds in the Gatt. In Gatt, there were 8 major meetings, or in other words, what we can say that there were 8 rounds, and that rounds leads into the tremendous increase in the trade, global trade, that was around 10 billion. That was almost around 1/5 of the total world trade. Just overlook this slide. What it states that as there is the reduction into the trade, as there is a reduction in the trade, so there was increase. As there was reduction in the tariff on the trade, there was increase in the trade. As there was increase in the trade, so it results into the lot of disputes, and it fails to resolve the disputes. Again, in the year 1986 to 1994, again one long meeting was taken place. So it leads into the formation of WTO. This is the summary of all the rounds. This is the first round which was taken place in 1947, and the last round which was taken place at Geneva, that is known as Orgiri round, and it leads into the formation of this WTO, that is World Trade Organization, that is the youngest organization of all, due to which nowadays there is a tremendous liberalization into the trade taken place. What were the problems which arose into the Gatt? In this slide, you might have observed that this agriculture and this textile, so these were excluded from the Gatt. That's why the Gatt was failed. Another important thing is that so Gatt was concentrated only on these goods. Which are goods? Which goods? That goods or that things are known as merchandised goods. Another lacuna in this Gatt was the participating countries were not called as a member. They were called as contracting parties. And onto this Gatt there was influence of few of the countries, and few of the countries they didn't have any kind of influence. That's why it leads into the formation of another organization that is known as WTO. The head office of this WTO, which is located at Geneva. And in next video clip we will learn about what is WTO, what are the important points which are